Can the Forester's Tarp setup really replace a trekking pole tent? Let's go and find out. This DD tarp weighs less than most trekking pole tents, is a fraction of the price, and you can use it to create your very own trekking pole tent. So let me show you how. For equipment, all you need is tent pegs. All you need actually is 6 tent pegs, don't need any more than that. I'm just using the paracord today. You only actually need 2 bits of paracord, and then your tarp. So I'm using the DD 3x3, but you can use any old tarp, as long as you've got straps on it, and straps going through the middle also, but I'll explain that later on in the video, why that's important. So you're looking for a bit of ground that is relatively flat and dry. You don't want to have somewhere where there's dips and puddles and stuff like that. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to lay the tarp out flat on the floor to begin with. So that's your tarp laid out, and what you're looking for is you want the ridge line in the middle where the straps are going down the middle, because this is going to be your entrance here and on the other side. And if you don't have the straps going down the middle, then you can't use your trekking poles to act as the tent poles to create an A-frame with it. But again, I'll show you this in a second. So bring you in closer and show you what I mean. Like this, you can't do anything with the tarp because it's stuck to the ground. So what you want to do is you want to find the straps, one in on both sides, and then what you're going to do is from that one here, this is where your peg's going to go in, but it's going to come in level to about here. So you're going one in, one strap in on both sides, and that's where you're roughly going to peg it down. It doesn't have to be perfect, because you can adjust afterwards, but that's just going to be our rough area. Oh, that ground's quite hard. And I'm going to do that in all 4 corners. Now this doesn't have to be perfect right now, because you can adjust it. And then I'm going to get 1 bit of paracord. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up the poles to their max height. And I'm using the spiky end. And then with the straps on the ridge line, I'm not taking the first strap, I'm taking the second one, and then I'm going to put my bit of rope over that, put the strap over. I'm just going to anchor this out. Again, it's not going to be overly tight, but you'll see this just beginning to form the shape of a little tent shelter. I'm going to do the same with the back end here. And if I just peg this out, so this is your Forester tent pretty much set up. As you can see, the ridge line is pretty tight across the middle, and again, that's why it's important to have these straps going across the middle and not the other way around, which is a mistake you make. And then all I'm going to do is use some of the tent pegs now, and I'm just going to use those just to secure the front flaps and the back flaps down. And I'll just show you, in fact we'll do the back flaps. Sorry, that sounds wrong, but there you go. So I did say you can get away with 6 tent pegs, and you can, but the tarp's going to be open, flappy, as you can see. So if you have an extra 4 or 2, depends which way you want to go, all you're going to do is just to secure this, just to stop this from flapping around, you're going to get if I'll go on this side so you can see. So that's the end. You're gonna flap that underneath, put that underneath even, and then with one tent peg on the next strap in, you're just gonna anchor that down to the ground, and then the same on the other side. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to lower the height of these poles just a little bit, just to increase the width of the base, and then I'll bring you back and show you. Is I've lowered these trekking pole tents down to 130 centimeters, just so that I have a bit more width across the base, just to give me a bit more space inside. But you can have it higher. You can obviously make it lower because you've got obviously adjustable trekking pole tents. And I suppose that is one of the beauties of this. It is quite customizable to the space you're in, depending what the weather's like. If it's really windy, you probably wouldn't want it so high, you want it lower down. If there's more people, again, you want it wider. Less people, you probably have a higher. So there's loads of things you can do. It is very, very adjustable, very, very easy to use. This is my Trekology sleeping mat. It's the first mat I ever bought, and we'll talk about that another day. It's a bit of a waste of money, but hey ho. But anyway, just show you that it does fit in here. Just move you guys around so you can actually see what I'm up to. It is big enough to fit a sleeping mat, just going lengthways. I imagine this is going to work better going diagonally with this today. So we'll go that way. There we go. So yeah, diagonally. This fits. Okay. And you could sleep in here. So it's not too bad. The other benefit of this is just the pure versatility of it. So if you find this too small, you can make this a little bit bigger and have it open-ended on one side. So if you know that you're not going to get the rain coming and driving in this way, for instance, I can open this and extend it to make it bigger. So I'll show you that and then show what it looks like inside afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the 2 pegs at the front and move the trekking pole to the front strap. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do. There we go. And that is how quickly you can mod this. And as you can see, inside, there's a whole load more space. In that, you could easily light two people in here on sleeping mats, just on the proviso that you're not going to get the rain blowing in this way. But you've got 3 sides to cover, which is pretty awesome. What do you think of this setup? The strengths, the benefits of this is obviously it's ultra light, it's really, really budget friendly, it's highly adaptable in the configurations you can put up. I mean, I've got trekking poles here, you don't need trekking poles. If you're in the woodland, you could just put a ridge line across 2 trees and attach these straps to that ridge line using prussics or whatever you wanted to use, and that will form your A-frame, and then you're just securing one end or 2 ends to give you an enclosed shelter. So it's extremely, extremely adaptable, and that's what I love about tarps, is just their adaptability. You can do so much with them. And the other benefit of this is it just gives you that bit more of a connection with nature. You're a bit more open, just to be kind of get that nature hug than you are when you're in a tent. And don't get me wrong, being in a tent's great. You know, the last time I was out in a trekking pole tent, I was out with my mate Dave, and we was down the Mourns, and I had my Luxe Hexpeak V4A, and was on the top of a mountain, and it was horrible. The conditions were horrible: wind, rain, and the tent. I mean, the tent didn't budge. It was great, but that trekking pole tent, it's a handling to put up. It's not as simple as just 4 pegs, anchoring your sides down, and then 2 for your ridge line, and that's it. You know, it's a lot more complicated to actually make sure it's taut, etc. There's a lot more pegging out with that trekking pole tent than there is with this. So they're the real benefits. The downsides of this setup, it's single skinned, so you're going to get condensation in here. You're exposed to the floor. So the benefit of having more of that connection with earth, with nature, is also, for some people, it's a negative thing in that you're exposed to the earth. I don't mind it so much, you know, it's all right. You can just put, you know, a sleeping mat down or something like that, a closed foam cell mat, and that would do the job. And ultimately, I mean, it's a tarp. You're not going to get as much protection from heavy rain in this as you would from a tent. You know, I wouldn't have wanted to be in this. Honestly, when Dave and I were down the Mourns, this would have been quite challenging to have slept in. I mean, it was challenging enough sleeping in the Hexpeak that night, but this would have been a whole different pile of pain. So that's what I think is my benefits and my cons to this. What do you guys think? I actually feel like Georgie from the film It. So if I had walking around with a red balloon, I'd be flipping petrified. I would actually scare myself right now. But that's why I actually realised that I actually look like Georgie from It. So if I'm walking out of this woodland today and I see a flipping clown, I is running.